Hey, welcome back to the Paperstac podcast. My name's Rick Allen. This is Brett Berkey, and we're here talking notes, delivering you knowledge bombs, and just spreading the good news about the industry.
That's right.
How you doing today?
Hanging. And got back from a cruise recently. That was fun.
Yeah? Where'd you go?
Coco Cay, Bahamas.
Bahamas. So you went to the Bahamas and you went to Bahamas.
You know what? My daughter's only been out of the country twice, and both times it's been to Bahamas.
Well, that's fine. So Bahamas, cruise to Coco Cay.
Okay.
What'd she prefer?
I like the cruise.
Really?
I mean, I don't know, it's a mixed bag. I mean, the kids liked Bahamas because they had a giant water park, so that was cool. But the cruise, there's always something to do. Only mistake I knew was a mistake. I told my wife, I was like, we need to get the drink package. She's like, oh, we're not gonna drink that much. I was like, okay, but they get you each time. They don't let you run a tab. They go like, each one has 18% gratuity, so it's like, it's not 18% on one thing. It's like 18% each time. Boom, 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 boom. And it was like.
But you do realize, 18%.
Yeah. It's
like 18% is 18%, no matter if you do it in little chunks or big chunks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. That just got me. Plus, there's tax on each one, so each one had tax and each one had 18%.
Again, there's tax on each dollar spent. So whether you do $100 transactions or you do one $100 transaction, you're still going to pay the same tax. You're still going to pay the same grat.
No, I just didn't like it then.
It's much easier. See, I look at correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I've been on a cruise. If you buy the drink package, they say it's X amount of dollars, unlimited booze.
Yeah.
Unlimited booze, right? So then, you kind of I would always work backwards and be like, well, I don't know how much was a drink pack.
Well, if you got it the first day, it was $82. But if you
wait, what?
$82
a day?
Yeah.
And you didn't buy it?
That's what I said. You know, she was like, "Oh, we're not going to drink that much."
$82. One drink on a cruise ship is like $15 if you don't have the drink package.
Yeah.
How much were beers? $10?
$7.95.
$8.
Yeah, it came to like $9 with the tax.
$9 with the tax. So you just look. So yeah, that's what I would just look at it. But anyways,
I got the bill and I was kind of pissed. I was like, I told you we should. It was like it was like way more than what the drink package would have cost.
Of course.
Everyone told us to do it.
You just didn't do it.
Well, because I was like, oh, we're not gonna drink during the day.
You know, it's so funny. It's so funny. We were on the ride here. We had to stop by Target and we're going in to grab stuff to fill the fridge because Mike's coming back. We want Mike to come back to a warm reception. We're going and we're literally coming out and he's like, he was talking to somebody who was asking us advice and then they didn't take the advice. And then people gave you the advice and he didn't take the advice.
I took the advice. My wife was being the cheapskate. She's like, we're not going to drink that much.
She wears the pants.
No, I take it, so I'll get it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, no deal. And you couldn't have the drink package. I was like, we missed it. It was just the first day deal. So, lesson learned.
Get the drink package, right? Because you say, okay, it's $82 a day, 9 beers, or $9 a beer. If I drink 10 beers, I'm ahead.
Yeah, I think the bill was way more than what it would have been for 3 days. Which sucked, I was like, and then, I don't drink mixed drinks, but the last day I was like...
You had a couple mixed drinks.
Well, because you're at the beach, it's hot, I don't want to have a beer at the beach. I was like, ugh. So I was like, what is a good one? So I got Mai Tais, and she wanted to go to swim at bar. I was like, but then I got sick of the beach. Unless we're doing something at the beach, I just can't sit at the beach. She's like, let's go see this other swim up bar. I was like, it's a swim up bar. You just take a picture and call it a day. Let's go back on the cruise. So that was that. So I have a topic for today.
Okay.
Something
near and dear to your heart.
They're on the site and they sell like hotcakes. And so, I talked to the guys and I'm like, what? I get them on the phone and I'm like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? So and they're like, these are all wraps. And I was like, wraps, huh? And so I was like,
oh, the world of wraps.
Yeah, and I was like, there's a mortgage on it, and then you get a mortgage on top of it. Like, why is that so attractive to people? They sell everything, and I'm like, what is so attractive about a wrap? What in subject to is kind of, and then how do you find things like that? Like what? How do you approach somebody to say, I know you have a mortgage, but I'm going to put a mortgage on top of your mortgage, and I'm going to sell your mortgage. Well, it's interesting. So for people that are new to the industry, I'm going to let him explain what it is.
Okay, so a wrap. You kind of said what it is. It's if you're acquiring a house that's already got a mortgage. Now you may be taking the house subject to that mortgage, in which case there's a mortgage on the house and maybe there's not enough room in there for you to buy it, or maybe you don't have the cash to buy the whole thing as is, right? So maybe there's a mortgage for $130,000 on it, and you figure out look, they're really looking to walk with $30,000. And so instead of having to bring $165,000 to closing, right? Mm-hmm. You say, look, how about I just give you the $30,000? I'm going to assume your mortgage, or I'll take over. I'll keep making the payments on it.
Okay.
Right? And then we'll pay it off eventually. So that person that you bought the house from walked away with $20,000 or $30,000, whatever you gave them cash. Mm-hmm. You take over the house on the mortgage, and now you turn around and you resell that house for, say, because you're going to offer owner financing to somebody.
Okay, so these are all owner finance deals.
So you would owner finance it to somebody and say, I'm going to give you this house that I'm into it for, we'll say $160,000, right? Because I bought it for, there's a mortgage of $30,000 or $130,000 on there, plus I've got $30,000 that I gave to the seller. So we'll say that I have to cover $160,000. So you may say, I'll sell you this house for $225,000, $230,000. You put down $20,000. So you sell it to them for $230,000. They put down $20,000. You got a mortgage of $210,000 on there, right?
Okay.
That they owe you now. You owe $130,000 to somebody.
Right.
You've recollected $20,000 of the $30,000 you already put out.
So you're only out $10,000.
So you're only out $10,000 on it, and you have to pay. You have to cover $140,000. So what you then do is you can either keep it, make the delta, right? Because think about this, you could be collecting 9.4% interest on the the $210,000 loan, and you're gonna have to pay the interest or make the payment on the $130,000 loan, but you've only got $10,000 in the deal, so you might be netting $500 a month, $600 a month if there's a huge difference like that.
Right.
Or you turn around and you sell the loan.
Hold on a second. So if I'm the assumed lender,
who are you? You're the person that
I went to you and I bought. Hey, here's $30,000. I'll
Okay.
take over your mortgage. Am I paying like Penny Mac, or am I paying?
You're still gonna pay their mortgage.
So they were paying Penny Mac. I'm just taking. I'm paying Penny Mac.
You're paying back. And most of the time, what you do is look, I can send you the money, and you can send it to Penny Mac, so you know it's getting paid.
Oh. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And what do? They just go away?
Eventually, yeah, they just go away. But so the best situation is right now that note that you created, the mortgage that you created when you sold it, and the $210,000 on mortgage, that's in second position right now. So you got right. So what you have to do is you sell that mortgage, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a mortgage of $210,000, you need to cover $140,000. You might sell it for say you're selling the $210,000 for $170,000.
Right.
Right, and so you're making $30,000 there.
Right.
Well, you got $10,000 in it, so you're making $20,000. So you make a $20,000 spread. What happens is what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pay off
the underlying lien.
You're supposed to pay off the underlying lien, and then your mortgage becomes the first position mortgage. So whoever buys it's getting a first position mortgage. Very important that if you're buying a wrap, you're using a company that's an escrow company or a title company or a lawyer who's going to pay off that. Make sure that loan gets paid off. So
they had the loan for the $160,000. When the person buys the note at $210,000, so how it's done on our side so far is that we'll get a payoff. A payoff, and then we get a satisfaction
mortgage.
Yeah, and we provide that to the buyer.
Or a lien release, yes.
Yeah, so that they know, hey, this thing's been paid off, and so that once that's paid off, you're no longer in second position. You are in the first position. You're only owed your mortgage is for only what is it the delta between the $160,000 and $210,000?
No. you still owe the $210.
Right. But
The borrower still owes the $210.
Yeah. Wait, they sold $210?
Yeah, that's how much you sold it to them for.
Right. Okay.
So the person in the middle, they're the ones who collects the delta from whatever they sold that $210,000 mortgage for, and whatever they had to pay off the $130,000 mortgage for. They get to keep whatever
was in the middle,
whatever the difference is.
So they might
but that loan for $210,000 is still there. Another way that you could do it is
there's a borrower that's in the house that the new thing know that there's a wrap. Or is that never like
sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I don't know. But it doesn't really matter, right? Because if it gets paid off.
They're done.
Yeah. So another way, kind of an easier way to do it is maybe I'm going to go buy something and I'm going to get a hard money loan, or I've got somebody who loans me money. I find a house, I'm buying it for $130,000. I take out a mortgage on that, and then I go owner finance it to somebody. Say I took out the mortgage for $130,000. I owner finance that house to somebody at $230,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sell the loan. Say I took $30,000 down, so the loan's $200,000, and I can sell it for $190,000 while I'm collecting that $60,000.
Nice.
For $70,000 right there. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So.
That's actually really sweet.
There's a lot of different ways you can. Get to doing the wrap.
Let me ask you a question. Like, if I'm the person that I had the house in the first place. What is normally the incentive, and how does that person get approached? To just like, how does someone do that? I mean, like, is there?
Like, why you're like, why would I do that? Why would I have somebody assume my mortgage?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
I mean, it's hard to understand. I imagine if someone in the homeowner that's not in the note space is like, what?
You're not going to explain to them everything on the other side. Like, when you go into surgery, they're not going to tell you that they pick your stomach up and throw it on your belly. Or they're lifting your intestines out, or they're not telling you they have a chisel and hammer on your knee when they're putting in a new knee. They may tell you afterwards when it's done, but they don't tell you that before you do it, right? I say, look, it's very simple. You break it down. You say, look, I'm going to buy your house. I like your house. I'd love to give you your house. In a perfect world, how much would you like to walk away with? And you say, well, I'd like to walk away with $30,000. Great. Since I don't have $160,000 to give you, so you can walk away with $30,000, what I can do is I can give you $30,000 to walk away with, and then I'll take over and make your mortgage payments. I'm not going to stop paying on it because I will lose $30,000. It doesn't make sense for me to stop paying on it.
Right. Okay.
So and you say, how do those people get contacted? Text messages, postcards, letters, door knocks. You go out there and you find it, and it doesn't start as, I'm going to do a wrap. Like, that's what it doesn't start as that, usually. Usually what it starts as is, hey, I'm interested in buying your house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me either put it under contract or do this, and if it winds up to where, okay, I'm not going to be able to wholesale this thing, I got to find another way to skin the cat to make some money off of it. Would you be happy taking $30,000 now, and I can turn around and take over your mortgage and run the gamut that way?
Interesting. Who stays on the mortgage that part?
The person that you're buying the house from.
So
sometimes you have an assumable mortgage. There's clauses. It's not as common now, but there's clauses within the mortgage that somebody can actually assume their mortgage. Their name goes onto the mortgage. That borrower's name that was on there comes off. But typically what happens in a wrap is I'm just going to wrap it, and you're going to stay on the mortgage. I'm going to pay it. It's going to build your credit. I'm not going to stop paying because I'll lose $30,000. You get it?
Yeah. That's interesting. Is there ever the time that someone's taken that to live in themselves, or no?
Maybe.
Really?
It's not a terrible thought. If somebody could do that, but you're not really going to do a wrap in that case.
No. Okay.
No, right? You're not gonna what would be? I don't understand what the purpose would that. There wouldn't be a purpose. So I think a good takeaway from this is, it's a tool in your investor tool belt. Right. I hear that so cliche, but it is really true. It's like you get in there and you're like, okay, I've got this investment, I've got this property. How can I make money off of it? How can it be a successful investment? and there's so many different things you can do with it, whether it's taking it subject to, whether it's you're going to wholesale it, whether it's I'm going to buy it outright cash, originate owner financing, or I'm going to buy it subject to, originate owner financing. There's just a lot of different ways to do it, and not every deal is the same. So if you can get into a deal and you know that, hey, I know really no matter what, as long as I'm getting it at a fairly good price, I'm going to be able to make some money on it and get out of it and move on to the next one.
That's interesting. So I mean, there's so many different tools. You got the wholesaling, subject to, wraps, notes.
There's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different things you can do, and a lot of times you're not doing just one, right?
This one's involving a wrap process.
You're doing a wrap. You're selling the loan. You're acquiring the real estate. So there's a lot of different moving parts, and you can take. Okay, I can use this tool and this tool and have this exit, or I can use that tool and have this exit.
That's cool.
So it's all just getting education and knowing, okay, learning how to use all the tools. And you can learn, that's why there's so many different niches out there, and people most time will jump into a niche and that's the niche they're in.
Right.
But when you can go from, if you learn a bunch of different niches, then you can take them all together and have a successful investment.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's actually, it's a pretty cool course. It's actually free. They give away so much information. It's on Propelio. Propelio, it's a Propelio Academy, and it was by Grant something, but he does wraps, and then there's Dancito.
Dancito, he's a good one. So we were on his podcast. Mm-hmm. I really actually enjoyed that. But anyways,
that was good.
About to overheat. So let's wrap it up.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna have some more coming up soon as things cool down. So we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.